Listened to Washington Watch recently. We've highlighted the reasons the New York Times 1619 Project presents a problematic and incorrect view of our nation's history. Of course, the left is all for it. They're pushing it big time in our schools. It's all part of the critical race theory and all this other stuff. And the Department of Education was going to entice schools to teach this by giving them grants. Well, they got an earful from the public, and so they backed off of that. But don't think they're going away. They'll be back. That's the way they operate. They're relentless in pushing their leftist agenda. But you'll recall also that there was the 1776 commission that former President Trump put in place. And then, of course, President Biden pulled the plug as soon as, in fact, it was the first thing I think he did when he came into office. But they continued to do their work, and now they have curriculum that has been established that Hillsdale College, which has become kind of the home base for this operation, is now providing this to schools across the country. Joining me now to talk more about this is Dr. Matt Spalding. He's the Vice President of Washington Operations and the Dean of the Van Andel Graduate School of Government at Hillsdale and was a part of the 1776 Commission. Dr. Spalding, welcome back to Washington Watch.
And it's good to be with you, Tony. Thanks for having me.
Let me first start by your reaction to the news that the Department of Education was withdrawing its grant program from the 1619 Project.
Well, I kind of had your reaction, to be honest. Part of my concern is this, and we should be ever watchful and mindful and careful. The left is always very good at changing language. They have said they've backed off the priorities for funding, and they've dropped the mention of the 1619 Project and Imberl Kindy, one of the great advocates of it. But a lot of their other language still stays in place. So I think it signals something, but not necessarily a victory. They're going to continue going their merry way, I believe. But what it signals, which is good news, is that 1619 critical race theory, these various terminologies that have gotten people effectively interested in this and gotten some people at school boards actively involved, is having some effect. And they are actually backing away from that, and they're on the defense. That's good, I think, but we got to keep the work up.
Yeah, exactly. And therein lies an opportunity, though, as well, because this has been an educational moment for the public. So what was meant for evil could be turned to good, and this is where you come in your work in the 1776 Commission and what Hillsdale is doing. There's now 1776 curriculum that's being offered to schools across America, so we can actually teach the the correct view of history.
No, that's right. So I was executive director of the 1776 Commission. We put out the 1776 report, which I encourage everyone to read rather than follow it on the media. Read it for yourself. Among other things, what it really called for, what it focused on, was encouraging a true and accurate history of America's founding, the Declaration, the Constitution, because the federal government has no role in curriculum matters. Mm-hmm. Well, once the Biden administration, among its first actions, first executive orders, abolished the commission and fired me, I came back to Hillsdale, and my colleagues and I, and as you know, we've been involved in K-12 education for decades, and we have charter schools. We redouble our efforts to write up a curriculum, which we've now issued as a 1776 curriculum. It's covers all of civics for K-12. And history having to do with the founding of the Civil War, and we've made it available to anybody for free, to students, to homeschoolers, to parents, to teachers, to school districts, to states. Whoever will learn, it's theirs to have free of charge, and that's Hillsdale's contribution to this debate. We think that it's one thing. We're all united about what we're against, and we're deeply opposed to teaching our children that they ought to look at each other based on their race, and we should look at each other as children of God, equal in the eyes of God. We are opposed to that, but what are we for? And we wanted to give people in the front lines fighting at school board meetings and other places a curriculum to point to, and that's what this is. It's just a straightforward, non-controversial, honest and accurate history that, just a few years ago would have been completely uncontroversial. But where we are today, we really need to do this, and we put it all together. It's thousands of pages long, lessons, guides, reading material, everything one would need to do a full curriculum on your own, to do a full teaching of the civics.
I think this is great because, as you said, we can curse the darkness or we can turn on the light. And I think this is what's necessary. The reason the 1619 project, I think, got traction is because we haven't been teaching American history. And so there was this void and they rushed in. And so this is an opportunity to, push back. Here is an accurate read of American history.
No, that's right. And they entered that void, and I think there was a natural reaction by a lot of people, left, right, and center. This doesn't make sense. America is not this evil, racist country. It's not rotten to the core. It's not perfect. It's trying to live up to its principles. But this isn't the way to do it. We wanted to fill that void. There are good teachers out there. There are good schools out there, and we want to help and support them. But we especially want to help those parents and teachers and school districts where they need an alternative that they can honestly put forward rather than this nonsense that's being pushed upon them.
Dr. Spalding, very quickly, where can folks find out more about this curriculum?
Well, you can go to hillsdale.edu. There's a link on the main page for the curriculum. There are also free online courses and other resources teachers could use. We also have a k12.hillsdale.edu, which is all about K through 12 and curriculum and other things having to do with teaching.
Oh, great. We'll put a link to that on our website as well to direct people there. Dr. Matt Spalding, always great to talk with you. Thanks so much for coming on today.
Thank you, Tony.
All right.